Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is Saurabh from Locus. We are starting this new series of a 5-point agenda. Sharing some of the nuggets of information. Our focus will be to think of topics and areas which are top on mind of the CIOs and CISOs today. In this new format of we coming in front of you, we will keep these video sessions very condensed, short, and under 20 minutes so that we can really get to the business end of the value, right? In today's first session, I am happy to welcome our co-founder of Locus Inc. and Locus Enterprise Solutions, Uttam Majumdar, on this podcast or this video format. Locus is a digital partner, and we call ourselves security-led digital partner. Uttam has been working with customers for over 20 years, speaks very passionately about security and infrastructure. So I couldn't find a better guest to come and talk about the first of the series. Welcome, Uttam.
Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you for having me on your series. Guess the first one, so feel privileged too.
Thank you. Fantastic. Here is my first question or first thing, right? I've been reading, Gartner has been talking about it. Their research says that 90% of CIOs, they expect that the threats will continue to increase and their impact on their organization can be severe, right? So they are concerned. So that being said, we are also talking about SecOps. We keep hearing about artificial intelligence and machine learning and a lot of tools coming in. Amidst all of this, we also listen to AI SecOps. So do you want to talk about, first of all, what is the value? Where is this market headed? What is the value of AI SecOps in the broader picture?
Yeah, very pertinent. AI SecOps will have to be the way to deal with security in the future. A lot of mature organizations have brought parts of AI SecOps in their environments. Let me demystify it for everyone. AI SecOps is naturally an extension of what SIEM did for many, many years. So you ingest every piece of information, bring them together, start normalizing that information, and then start to take insights which are important out of everything that got together. So prioritize what is important. Now, AI on top of this is overarching and making sure that you have enriched context to make decisions. So what SIEM did was to get it together, normalize it, standardize it, provide you some level of insights, but enrichment of everything that has reached you from an issue standpoint is important. And that happens with artificial intelligence. So AI SecOps will be the order of the day. Get all the telemetry data for decision making now. And faster decision making. What it simply means is every issue that is reported has enriched context. Unless you had enriched context, which was the times before AI SecOps, lack of enriched context was making it difficult for decision making. Now that is changing with AI SecOps. Make sense?
Makes sense. How do you connect that? So I'm going to bring it to one notch up now. When I think of a CIO or a C-suite executive, they are still thinking about the larger business impact. They are obviously building applications and focused on customer experience, even if it is a B2C marketplace, B2B2B situation, right? Every time these executives are thinking about end customer impact, business impact. So how do you relate AI SecOps, or what's the contribution of AI SecOps when you start tying into a bigger business environment?
Yeah, what you just said is about customers wanting to accelerate their digital journey. If I kind of summarize that whole point you just made, they're wanting to accelerate their digital journey so that they provide better customer experience. They're able to make faster go-to-market decisions. They're able to get a lot of feedback on how they can improve CX. That's what most businesses are doing. They're driving capabilities like omni-channel. They're driving capabilities on e-commerce like never before. They are bringing capabilities which are hyper local to customers and still providing the experience like it was just the older days where people would do commerce. But attaching hyper localization became very, very important in these times and days. Now, if you want to achieve all of that, one has to do a lot of digital innovation. They will have to do digital acceleration and then modernize at scale. And that's the point. If you want to modernize at scale, if you want to do digital innovation continuously, if you want to accelerate your journey to digital, you will have to be backed by strong methods of security operations. And these are times when you'll have to defend machine speed attacks. All of these businesses that want to modernize at scale are the businesses at highest risk. And this risk is really about going out and defending machine speed attacks. How do you do that? Which is the reason something like AI SecOps, if stitched into the plan, if stitched into everything that you started at the design stage, you are now starting to move at scale. You can decide to modernize at scale. If you did not have AI and SecOps attached at the design stage, I can tell you we've seen businesses and customers who were in trouble. In their journey, mid-journey, they realized, for example, they did not have a framework which was properly architected. There were no prescriptive methods in doing modernization from a security standpoint, which is also the reason in Locus we say we are a security-led digital partner. It has to be led by security thinking. It has to be led by security getting into every piece of design element. And which is why AI SecOps becomes an initial push to how you start your preparation. Make sense?
Yeah. Again, I'm going to push you further on that point. If you think of a CIO, why should they really care investing right now? Do you think now is the time, right? Are we ahead of the curve, or is it you're starting to see a lot of interest in this area within the CIO community and the CISO community? Why should they care at this point in time?
Unfortunately, these are very tough times for businesses from how this whole sophistication in attacks is taking place. Any business can be a target today. Most businesses that have reported, if you look back and spoke to some of the CISOs, they never thought they can ever be a target of attack. But every business has become a target of attack. Now, it's become imperative. It is not a choice that you have, whether, is it too early for me to get into doing something like that? Or, I may not be somebody who's going to be the target of those, bad actors. It is very important that you start thinking prevention, you start thinking protection, you start bringing in culture of security, culture of innovation for security. Only then it will work for businesses. Now, a CISO for him or her, it is not just about being able to bring the culture of security. It is also about being able to drive points which are, knocking off fatigue from their people, which has become a top concern in most organizations. The CISOs that I speak to, they tell us that the top concern today is reducing alert fatigue. Everyone is drowning in alerts and all forms of alerts, but security alerts, they're drowning. How do you remove alert fatigue? That's the top concern of the CISO. Because if they want their resources, their analysts to perform, besides just having their eyeballs stuck to alerts, they will have to be innovative. They will have to think playbooks. They will have to think hyper automation. And how does somebody lead their teams to think hyper automation, apply hyper automation in their environments? Only when they are freed up to do more creative work. Now that's important. How do you remove alert fatigue? Which is the top focus. And these are the reasons why they will have to consider elements in their design. AI SecOps could be possibly on the curve, coming a little later in the stage in a business that is starting to mature their processes and tools, but it is important that it is somewhere on their journey. And to get to that point, they'll have to start putting a lot of things together. Now, that's what CISOs will have to start thinking. It's like I said, it is not a matter of choice. It's not about when. It is about can I get started today? And it is about, can I do the right things from a design standpoint, get the right people to come and work with me, find the right partners who can actually stitch pieces of knowledge they would have gathered from all the other engagements businesses have from a security standpoint.
Cool. Yeah. So Uttam, I know at Locus we work with a lot of different industries, healthcare, pharmaceuticals. We work with high performance computing customers. We work with fintechs also, right? When it comes to AI SecOps, what are the top use cases you are seeing across these industries, which are really helping, right? We are focused on items which can really give value to the customer, say next 1 quarter, if they are implemented today.
Yeah, if I were to pick top ones, and this is from experience working with our own customers, alert fatigue, we spoke about that a while ago. How do I apply AI SecOps just to ensure that we cut through noise? If we can bring noise levels down, you can get your people to make better decisions. So what are we now asking our teams to do? We are telling them, look, machine-generated algorithms are going to work. Now we want human-generated decisions. Can human-generated decisions be backed up by real good machine-generated algorithms? Now that's the important part. This is the biggest piece of every engagement that we've gone, and we saw a lot of success when we did this. Cutting noise is the first priority, and applying AI in whatever fashion just to cut noise and make people far more productive, getting analysts to do a lot more work, building that force multiplier for people who are at the field wanting to tackle problems. Now that's point number one. AI use case there, cutting noise, removing alert fatigue will be the number one. Second one for me would be advanced threat detection. Now, this is where all the telemetry data, a lot of training on that data, a lot of context setting on the data is very important. And then being able to do threat detection, advanced threat detection. Businesses will have to choose and categorize which are their crown jewels, which are high priority elements. Most businesses that in our own experience we've seen have used low priority assets, overprotected them, and then dangerously exposed high priority items. Now, advanced threat detection by way of AI SecOps is to ensure that we remove such possibilities and such gaps in being able to prioritize, being able to identify what is the crown jewel, where should we focus, and doing advanced threat detection by way of a lot of telemetry data training, context setting, retraining, and then applying that every time that is possible to do advanced threat detection. The third one on my list will be accelerating investigation. Incident response is still something that most businesses have not experienced. Those businesses that have also got attacked still don't know how to do a IR, incident response. Now, how do you ensure that you have methods? Why you could have process, you could have all the right people, you have machine-generated algorithms, human-generated decisions, but how do you do response? Now, if AI SecOps can help us do that acceleration in response, acceleration in hunting, acceleration in completing investigation, and applying all of that possibilities to ensure there's resilience in cyber environments, that will be a great way, and that will be the real success of the AI SecOps if applied diligently in an environment. These will be my top picks, Saurabh.
Cool. Okay. Understood. Got it. So from a very high level of maturity, let me step back and ask you my final question, right? Imagine I am a CIO or a CISO who's extremely focused on building and beefing up our cybersecurity. But we haven't really focused on, thinking of it at scale and at speed, what we've been discussing. And I also realize that this is going to be a game changer in the future. So what are some of those practical tips you could share today, which I could implement and start moving in the right direction, right? Maybe 5 or 6 top tips which come into your mind that, hey, these are the right things you need to do to set the right foundation for an AI SecOps model.
Parking AI SecOps for a moment, we'll bring that back into the discussion. But any conversation that I go and have with CISOs, I would ask them to take a risk-based approach. Now, if you took a risk-based approach, you're starting your journey well. Most businesses want to go and mature everything. Maturing process is not going to give you anything, which is when you end up in situations like I said, you start overprotecting low priority assets. Unknowingly, that's not what you wanted to do. That was not your intention. But maturing your processes, maturing your methods to do SecOps is a wrong approach. Or I wouldn't say wrong approach. That approach could possibly stick to an approach which is more risk-driven. So risk-based approach is the important approach. That's my first point to any CISO. Now, bring AI SecOps. So if you start thinking risk-based approach, you'll automatically start thinking ways of bringing automation, because you're starting to think risk at every stage. Now you'll say, okay, if I can reduce this risk by way of automation, by way of bringing some AI capability, by doing a lot of machine learning at that stage, at that identified risk, train a model and get that applied on my environment, will work. So it automatically brings AI into the picture. The next thing that I would like them to do is actually do serious risk quantification models. Now, there are ways to do it. For example, we are helping our customers in engagements very early in any engagement, running risk quantification models. Now, if you did a risk quantification model, a lot of decision making that happens thereafter is going to be very, very critical and very useful to you when you start with a risk quantification model overarched by a risk-based approach. Now, you've done some of this, you will automatically, and nobody has to come and tell you this, you will automatically ingest everything. Bring every piece of data, ingest it, call it a data lake, call it a data pond, but you will bring everything together. And then, because you've taken a risk-based approach, you know where to apply intelligence, where to apply cognitive capabilities. It will automatically come because that's the way you're driven. You will start thinking unsupervised learning. You'll start thinking cognitive insights at a risk point, at an identified space where you think this is what can be, a lot of business impact. So you start to apply cognitive insights, start to do a lot of unsupervised learning. In businesses, it is very important to realize vulnerabilities have a reverse symbiosis to, how much you can apply from tooling and patching. If you did that well, then you got everything working in a manner that is aligned to how you would want to see your AI SecOps risk-driven approach maturing for you. Now, once you've done, because you realized in the journey that you'll have to do unsupervised learning, you'll have to bring cognitive insights, you'll train your machines automatically. Your people get trained further based on what machines are now trained to do. And then bring again another layer of training machines. So train machines, train people, train machines. You will start to see that you're applying hyper automation. And that's the chronology of events that I would suggest any business that's wanting to go on this journey.
Yeah, excellent. So I think the core message is first think of risk. Rather than just advancing the cause, think of the risk first, see what is highest value to you. I would even add value into the picture where you think risk and value together and quantify those items, right? So what are your crown jewels, highest value items, and then start addressing that risk. And if I can recollect the way you said, we start thinking of this risk. Now you start thinking at scale and speed, right? Scale is how do you cut the noise? How do you focus on the high value alerts which are coming in? how do you get machines to respond on your behalf at scale? And third step would be bringing in your experts who are now working on top of what these machines are doing for you. Right? So that would be a framework of sorts. All right. This was very helpful. Uttam, thanks so much for sharing some of those nuggets of knowledge. We look forward to talking to you in forthcoming sessions.
Thank you, Saurabh. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks for listening, guys.